Yo, what's going on, guys? If you guys have been living under a rock like me, you guys probably didn't know that you can now play all of your old favorite games on your iPhone. So Apple actually lifted their emulator ban back in like 2023. I didn't know this. So for the very first time, I'm going to be playing some of my old favorite games on my phone right here, iPhone. And we're just going to go over some of the do's and don'ts, how to get these games on your phone, and some of the hardware that you might need. All right, so let's get right into it. So like I said, if you guys didn't know, Apple lifted their ban on emulators back in 2023. Android phones could do this whenever they wanted, I'm pretty sure, but most of us are on iPhone nowadays. So unless you wanted to play Pokemon Yellow, for example, on your phone, you would probably have to jailbreak your phone or do some, some extra stuff to get these games on there. But now that those bans are lifted, you can go into the Apple App Store and just download any emulator you want. We're going to go over some of the best ones that you should use, some of my favorite ones, because some of them are a little bit janky and they ask you for subscriptions or something, and you don't really need to be doing that. So we're going to go over that. And then also the very first thing that I'm going to say, it's going to be about piracy, guys. If you guys don't own the game, or the game hasn't been let go by the distributor to be downloaded freely, there are some free versions of the game that you can download off websites on the internet that is legal to do. But most of them, like the more popular games like Pokemon games, you're not allowed to just download those games off the internet. It's illegal. There are websites that do have those for you to do, and I'm here to tell you you're not supposed to do that. That's a no-go. It's bad, and technically you could get in trouble. Here we're going to go over the legal way of doing it. So if you do go out and do that, that's on you. If you do go out and do that, make sure that you're not downloading viruses, and just don't do it. All right, now that that's over with, the very first thing that we're going to go over are some of the best one, and I think the one that most people are using is the Delta emulator. I found some other ones, but they do ask for subscriptions. You can skip them, but they're going to give you ads if you do skip them. So I think Delta is probably the best way to go when it comes to Game Boy emulators. Also, you can also download like a PSP emulator, but I don't have a PSP, and to get the legal version of the games, I would need a PSP to then transfer them over to my PC. So like I said, these things are pretty easy to get. You just have to go to the App Store, go over to search up emulators, and the very first one is probably the best one. Look at the reviews if you guys want to, but download the Delta game emulator, and if you want to, you can download some other ones. There's a PSP emulator, but like I said, you'll probably need a PSP for that unless you do it the illegal way. And the one that I found that asked for subscription is the Lucky one, the Lucky GBA game emulator. You can use it if you want. Most of these are pretty much the same, but Delta is the one with the best reviews, so I do recommend going with that one. Now that we have our emulator on our phone, the next thing to do would be to get your game ROMs on your computer so you can download them on your phone. And you're gonna either do this through iTunes or through iCloud. I'm gonna do it through iCloud just because it's easier. You won't need to connect your phone to your computer, and iTunes is pretty janky sometimes, so don't really like it. And like I said before, there's a few ways to get these game ROMs on your phone. Depending on what type of game you're going to be getting, it's going to be a different file type. For me, I'm doing Game Boy Advance games right now, so it's going to be .gba files, and they're all just ROMs. And I'm actually, to do it the legal way, I have a little piece of hardware from Epilogue. This is a GBA operator. This is a game right here, Pokemon Silver. All this does is read Game Boy games, Game Boy Color, all the way to Game Boy Advance games. This actually emulates them, and it lets you download the files so then you could play them yourself. Like I said, if you have the file yourself, the game yourself, you can put it on one of these. There's a few of these that you can get off the internet. This one costs like $50. I'll put it down in the description if you guys do want it. But this is one legal way of doing it, and the other way would be through the free games that were left by the distributors on the internet. You have to make sure that it is allowed, and it's not just one of those websites that is putting up any game out there for you to download, because like I said before, that's illegal. So just to give a quick rundown of how this goes, we are putting our game cartridge right into here, and this thing's actually pretty cool because it also tells you if you have a fake copy of a game, so it'll tell you if it's legit. I'll show you guys what a fake copy comes up like, because I have this is actually, it's not a fake copy, but it's a game that I bought from one of my local game stores, and it's here. I'll show you guys. So if you guys were able to read that, it's not an actual Pokemon game. It's just a game that was written over, and it has a different storyline, different dialogue boxes, a little bit funnier. But we'll put that game in, and then we'll see how that looks. I'll show you guys how to download the game and then move that over to your iPhone. All right, now we're over here on the Epilogue software. I inserted my Pokemon Silver version and it comes up like I said before, it's an official cartridge. So it'll tell you that right here. It's a read only, of course. You can't write over the official cartridges. And if you wanted to play the game, you could just click start and it'll load it up right over here and start up the game. So you can actually play the game from your computer if you wanted to right here. Takes a little bit to load up and then it'll go ahead and start. Of course, I'm using my keyboard for this, so I would have to figure out the buttons. I think like most of the buttons, you could just continue. But we're not doing that, so let's exit the game. And what we actually want to do is download the game. So we go over to data and then we just go over to start. And if you have a nice little ROMs folder like I do, you just click save and save it in there, and it's gonna save it as a .gb file because this is a Game Boy game. And if it was a Game Boy Advance game, it would be a .gba. You go ahead and download it, wait for that to finish, and then we go over to that same file on our desktop, and then our Pokemon Silver version is right there. Just to show you guys what an unofficial cartridge would look like on this thing, let's plug in our Pokemon Cock version, and then we can go ahead and see that it says unofficial cartridge. It can't read the title because it's not an actual cartridge, but we still can play it. So we'll go ahead and click start just so you guys can see it. And then because you'll get this little pop-up just because it's not an official cartridge, you might think it's a virus or something, but you can play it anyways. And then we can go ahead and just start through everything. It's written over, so it's not an actual official game, but it plays everything. So let's get out of here. So now this is the part where we get our game over to our iPhone. Like I said before, I'm going to use iCloud. I feel like this is probably the easiest way. I'm not going to have to download iTunes or connect my phone up to my computer. If you have a Mac, it'll probably be super easy since you guys already have iTunes like downloaded on that computer. If you guys want to use that, it's up to you. It's probably the same thing, but just go ahead and go into your iCloud. I just opened it up on the web over here, and we're gonna go find our ROM and then drag that over into our iCloud. Let that download, finish it. It finishes up. We have Pokemon Silver on our iCloud, and that will get synced up onto our phone, of course. So now over on our iPhone, to find our ROM, all we do is go over to our downloads. Make sure you go to iCloud Drive, and then wherever you put that folder that you put that ROM in, go find that. I put it in the downloads, and then I made a ROMs folder for that, and that is right over here. It's going to go ahead and download that and put that in Delta. Now we click on it, click open, and here it is in the Delta game emulator. And to play it, all we got to do is click on it. And then, like I said before, guys, there are websites that do give out free games that are legal to download. One of the more popular ones is pdroms.d. I'll put that down in the description as well. This would technically work the same way as those illegal websites. You would click on a game, and then you have the download file right here. Just click on that and then open it up, and .gba is right there. You extract it and then do the same thing that we did before. Of course, guys, make sure that anything that you're downloading off the internet is completely safe. You do not want to be downloading viruses. Make sure to check everything out. Do some of your own research before you just start downloading stuff on the internet. This all works the same with other emulators like PSP. So just to show you guys how to do it on the phone without having to connect anything to your computer, if you just want to play some free games, you can go over to PD-ROM or whatever website you choose. There are some other websites. I'm just using this one for the video. Go ahead and download the game just like we did before. Download, and then if you don't know, hit that little blue button down there. Downloads are right there, and we're gonna go ahead and click on the game that we just downloaded. Here it is. Unzip it by pressing on it or clicking on it. And now if you go into the unzip folder, you can go ahead and just copy and then go back, go into your Delta folder that it's automatically created when you download the app, and then go into your games and then hit paste. And now that Game Boy Color ROM is right in there. And if we go into our Delta app, it is right there where the games are. You can go ahead and just play it, whatever colors is, right? All right, guys, that's it for the video. We went over the legal way of doing all this. It is illegal, just as another reminder, to go on the websites that offer games like Pokemon, because they do not distribute these for free on the internet. You can't do that, but you can play free games if you want. Or if you do own a copy of Pokemon, you can get one of these Game Boy operators from Epilogue, where there are other ones. I think on Amazon I've seen a couple, but those don't have really good reviews. So do your own research on when you get those. This one seems to be the best one since it also tells you if you have a legit copy of the game, and it lets you play the game yourself instead of just download the game and having to use an emulator somewhere else. It emulates the game for you. So I do recommend this one. This is the best one that I've seen. But like I said, you can get a cheaper one probably for like 25 bucks that only downloads the ROM and then lets you emulate it somewhere else if you're just going to be doing that on your phone. So just as a quick reminder, we went over which emulator to use, which I recommend Delta if you're doing Game Boy stuff, and then how to download them, which is just downloading them through a nice little piece of hardware like this, or getting legal free ROMs from legal websites that the distributor allows you to do. Do not go to these illegal websites that are illegal to download, because you're not supposed to do that, and I can't tell you to do that, even though that without these websites there would literally be no other way to play the game unless you went out and bought a hard copy of the game, which they don't sell themselves anymore. So, and then we also went over how to download games directly from our iPhone without even needing a computer. So you can do that with other websites if you want to, other legal websites. I have to keep saying that, guys. Other legal websites. Do not go and download illegal ROMs off the internet, because those could have viruses, and the distributors don't like that because it is piracy. Okay, guys? With that being said, that is the end of the video. Hope you guys learned something. Hope you guys have fun playing these games, and I will catch you in the next one.